Hi everyone, I'm Brad.
Michal.
And welcome into our home. The good news is that my parents have 4 of the kids, thankfully, and we're left with our little baby who's sleeping for now, so we'll see how long he lasts.
And we're still talking.
And we're still talking, yeah. So the good news is that our kids are being looked after, and the better news is that we're still talking, even when we have a chance to do our own thing. So, Michali, when's the right time to have kids?
Okay, so it's a tough question. I don't love the question in and of itself.
Okay, my bad. Yeah.
Because you're asking for an answer of when, but it's clearly not going to be so simple for everyone. Like, everyone has their own circumstances, their own needs, their own timing.
But what would you say? Like, would you say there's an ideal, or would you say, no, there's no ideal, it doesn't matter when you do it? Every person...
I think it's complicated. It's complicated because there's 2 sides here.
Okay.
There's the ideal of having children, and there's the ideal of making something of yourself and other things that you want to accomplish for yourself, as a woman mostly. And the complex side is that they're both important. There are years in your life which you're at your most energetic, you're still youthful, you don't mind making mistakes. It's easier to commit to either of those directions. It's easier when you're younger to commit to trying to build yourself, in the world of whatever it is you want to accomplish. It's also a good time, energy-wise, to focus on children, because, they both take learning. So you're either going to learn in one area, become good at that, and then suddenly become a mum, and shock horror, you're a mum and you need to relearn everything of that. Mm-hmm. Or you're going to learn to be a mum, and then once your kids are in daycare or whatever it is, and you've got a bit of time, then you can continue to try and build yourself up, which is also not easy, but that's the question. What do you learn first?
So it's like both sides.
I think that's the question.
Both sides, there's good to both sides. If you're a mother or a father when you're young, then you can dedicate like your years with the most energy to your children, but then you're unable to really dedicate yourself to other things, because children are kind of all-encompassing, and they take up a lot of time and sleep and effort and money. Whereas if you're an entrepreneur and you want to go from one place to another and travel the world, and I don't want to say achieve things, because also being a parent is called achieving something, but I don't know, achieve something in the business world, or let's say you're in your impact on the world, well then you're going to be, in a way, you won't be giving it up, but you'll be pushing it off. And with anything, the later you push it off, the harder it becomes. Mm-hmm. I think there's like a window in life where you're the most able to succeed as a parent, or as, in the business world. Yeah,
and it's not just becoming a parent, it's everything that comes with it. It's when you're going to commit yourself to try and find someone. Ooh. We're being called.
You get him?
Okay, good. Hold that point.
BRB. I just learned to whistle about 6 months ago from Hannah. Shalom, Hamudi.
So I think he's decided what comes first today. The start of the conversation.
Yeah. Well, this is actually it's a very perfect example of this question, because we were in the middle of doing something which is important to us.
Yeah.
And then your baby wakes up, and what's more important to you than your baby?
Yeah.
Right? So I think very much if you want to be able to focus on your life's endeavors that are not children, how can my life endeavor be anything but you?
It's not impossible. Let's not pretend that there aren't people who have accomplished amazing things while starting their family young. It's not all or nothing.
Right. You're definitely right. But I guess in terms of the ideal, would you say have children and then from within a family life go and do all the things you have to do?
Can I just jump back to what I was saying before I ran out? Yeah, mm-hmm. It's just that it's not just about having children. There's a few things that loop into having children, which is finding somebody, getting married, settling down, and having children, mm-hmm. and they come together. Because I've heard it said before. I've asked someone if they want to meet someone, and they've said to me, not just now. I'm so close to building my business. I want to just commit and focus here. I don't want to be distracted by a relationship,
Yeah.
distracted by children. I've got my own personal accomplishments. I want to make something of myself, and I don't want to be distracted by opinions and thoughts and babies and everything. But it all comes together. It's hard to give an answer because it's complex, and there's two sides to it. But I think we can explore the value of having children young, just to explore that side of things, because we obviously know it better than anything else. So.
But I think also the question is, if you can have children young and then give yourself a chance at doing well professionally, or you can try and advance professionally and then go become a parent sort of later on when it's a bit harder for you. Which way do you go? And I think that it's got to do a lot with what you see as valuable generally in life. Right now, no one's saying. I think everyone would agree. I would imagine that everyone would agree that children are number one. Right?
I don't know. I don't think everyone agrees with that anymore.
Okay.
It's changed. Some people are not even having children.
Okay.
And I think most people would probably say the opposite. First make something of yourself and then have a family.
Okay, but that's all right. But that's in terms of chronological order. But in terms of,
so you're talking in value.
In terms of
That's
importance, I would say, well, at least for me personally, children is by far number one.
Yeah.
What happens professionally is afterwards, because professionally is not only how do I make money, it's also what type of impact do I want to have on the world, right? Both of those are important things. The pursuit of money is not a bad pursuit; it's an important pursuit as long as you don't go overboard. And also the pursuit of accomplishing what you want to accomplish in the world is important. Mm-hmm. But for me, the most important thing out of all those things is children.
It could be because of that people think you should build yourself, at least in a financial sense, before having children. Perhaps people believe that the way to look after what's most important is to first be established, first make something of yourself, and then you can help the world.
Yeah.
Then you can bring life into the world.
Yeah, can I just say what's funny is that you use the phrase to make something of yourself. Now that's like a way of speaking, right? But to make something of yourself is used financially and professionally, but I think that in terms of value and importance, that is misplaced. Because to make something of yourself, to me, is to have a family. That to me is the most important thing. Mm-hmm. And the financial side and the accomplishment side comes number two. So, but I do get what you're saying, is that if you want to have children, let's say without too much stress, and you want to be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish in the world, then first look after your financial side, then do those things. The only difficult thing is that in theory that may work. In practice it doesn't always work, because it can take years and years for a person to really make something of themselves in the financial, professional sense. And so you start off when you're 20, then you start off working somewhere, and then you sort of, by the time you're 30, you're working towards something, you feel like you've almost gotten towards that, or you're in a startup that you know eventually it's going to start making money, but you need to just give it another few more years. By the time you feel like you've made something of yourself, you're 40. All right? And you can have kids at 40, and it's not too late, but it is late. And I'm not a doctor, but also 40 for a woman is possible. It's definitely possible.
It happens, and you get healthy babies. But
yeah,
we know
it's
that
possible,
it's not
but
the best.
Statistically, or medically, it's not the best time to have children. It's always better to have it early. So I think that while theoretically it sounds good, I really think that it comes down to a value system.
I think that's true. It comes down to the value system. Do you value children more? Do you value making something of yourself more? How are you going to make it all? Can you make it all work together?
Yeah.
Can you make it work having kids first? Can you make it work having work first?
Yeah.
I think that the world, school, what's popular out there is to boom out the value and importance of making something of yourself, especially today as a woman. We all need to be successful women, strong women, powerful women. It's a problem of society that there's not enough women at the top of businesses, which isn't just success. That's like talking about, it's not just power. That's talking about, don't just be successful, you need to be the best. You need to be the top of the company. Yeah. If you want to be the top, just like any Olympian, just like anyone who wants to take something seriously, you've got to get rid of a few other valuable things and focus. Which as a man you can, because you're not the one who's growing the baby in your womb and feeding and all that sort of stuff. Like you can just commit. And the hormones, you know, I love that we think that we're all identical because we can both accomplish in the world. But women have a lot of hormonal changes that happen with having a child, and identity changes with becoming a mother. It's a huge, huge thing, going from no babies to one.
Can we hold it?
No, it's okay. It's okay, I got you. So like society clearly values women becoming successful in a professional sense. And the minute that you start school and there's your competitive... And the minute that you start school and there's that competitive nature of school, which is that you have to get your best marks, you have to try your best, you have to give it your all. The problem with... Sorry, before I say the problem with it, is that clearly you're shouted at from all directions, and your parents, because everyone worries, what if you won't, you know, be able to financially look after yourself, because things are expensive these days. But that's heard. There's a voice for the value of professionalism. There's a voice for the value of a woman making something of themselves. Mm-hmm. What's missing is the voice of such an inner need that people have to parent and to have children. And again, it comes with finding someone. It comes with choosing to start dating, choosing to settle down, and all of that sort of thing. And that has to happen as early as it needs to be on your mind, as early as your professional goals.
Okay, but I think your point is that there is the value of a woman and a man, but I think predominantly a woman, to have children is, even though while it might be there, it's not shouted out because everyone's shouting out the opposite side. Because it probably was in the past, the value was only having babies, and then women wanted to achieve, and like there was like voices coming out, like, woman, you know, you can achieve. You don't have to be, you know, in the background. But I think what that's naturally, while it's brought a lot of good, naturally, it's putting women as mothers and the push to really value being a mother, like it's sort of putting it in third place.
Yeah. The problem with picking professional endeavors and childhood and child rearing is that if you only focus on one, you make the other one very difficult to accomplish later. Mm. They need to remain both important at the same time. You need to always remember your need to be a mother. You can't just remember that when you're successful and you have one dinner plate in your sink because you haven't found someone yet and you haven't settled down. Like you need to have both of them on your mind.
We can talk an ideal forever. Like I said, something has to give. And like you said as well, what you do earlier, it seems is what you're going to do potentially better, or you're going to have more chance at succeeding. Or is that wrong? Do you think that's wrong?
Well, I just think that there's a lot of creative energy in your 20s. Mm. There's a lot of creative energy, and like you haven't built the ego of I've made myself already. Mm. So you don't mind failures both in work, and you don't mind failures as much in parenting because it's learning and it comes with failure. So I think it's a special time to devote, if you can. Like, it's hard also because in an ideal world, you could have both. If society supported it, if society supported it, you could potentially have both. Like, I know that there are places where in the universities they have baby childcare, like facilities that are really good.
Oh, baby. Yeah. Well, in Israel we know that they've got in the universities, like they've got there's a huge proportion of women who come with their babies to uni. They put their babies in the daycare there, and they can bring the babies in to feed. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you fed the baby.
Yeah, I did. I took my baby into uni in Israel to feed. And not just that, but you can repeat exams up to 3 times.
Oh, if you're a mother?
Yeah, if you've had a baby around, then like I remember I had a baby born before one of my sets of exams, and I got up to 3 times to repeat the exams if I wanted to. So like they're just accommodating.
So it's like,
and it's cheap, and daycare's cheap there. Yeah. There's public system. The public system is amazing, which is important because if you're not making a lot of money, you can't have daycares as expensive as here in Australia. Yeah. You can't do both here in Australia. Can't afford it.
It's like in Israel, they make it possible, and you see it like it's everywhere. All the people who lived around us, they're like you can be a woman and a man, and you can be young parents, but you can also advance professionally.
Yeah.
I think there's no you can't beat around the bush, and there's definitely a couple who is 25 who have no kids. They can study, stay up late, go out, network, travel the world, meet people, go to courses around the world. You can, right? I think you can't say that you can do both of them 100% well together. Something has to give. We're just humans, and this is the real world. Yeah. But I think that you have to, if you value children so much, but you also recognize that you want to make an impact professionally and financially, you do want to try and bring them together. I think that what I've seen where people struggle is where they advance themselves professionally first, and then they have children. But by the time they have children, they are they're used to life individually and as a couple, where they can do whatever they like. Come and go as you please. And all of a sudden, you go from being an executive in a company, male or female, to a mother or a father, and you're changing nappies, and you're not sleeping, and there's no schedule, and you've got no respect from your 3-week-old baby.
And you've had an identity crisis because you're now not just an individual. There's someone else who hopefully, I'd say, comes first. Yeah. But
that says to me though, if you have to choose, I know I'm pushing towards like black or white a little bit. Yeah. If you have to choose, the time that you're the most malleable is when you're younger.
Yeah.
That's just generally.
I just find it crazy when you see young people who have so much capability, so much energy and enthusiasm, and they're going to university, let's say 2-3 days a week, and then they have free time. So they're working at little jobs, or they're spending time exercising and like pursuing health goals and things like that. It's like you clearly have too much energy and too much capacity within you, and you're dividing it in all these like fun, great things, but like you're at your peak. You're at your peak. You got the energy now to do it, and you can have it all. And we've seen, at least in Israel, where ladies they go in whatever professional direction that they want, and it's tough. It's really tough because anyways, having babies is tough, and anyways, starting a career is tough. And doing it together, it adds a bit of meaning at the same time, because babies are beautiful, but it's going to be tough. But they do it, and they can, and no one feels sorry for them. I mean, maybe there are people that feel sorry for themselves, but overall, it's done, and they're proud in both areas. You hear the women that say, "Oh, it was so nice when my kids finally grew up, and then I just, I finished my degree, and then I made something of myself," because they needed that professional side. And you hear people as well who are so happy finally they can have their babies after they've built the professional side. But what would be beautiful is to have both at the same time, where the professional side, even going at it slowly while you have kids, is building that confidence and that sort of, I'm making something in the world. And if you can, raise children as well. And I think it's important, I'm sorry I'm speaking so much, but I've done babies, so I'm just going to have to say this, is that babies seem so scary from the outside. Number one is scary because it's a whole lot of learning and it's all new. Number two can also be a difficult juggle.
Like two babies?
Yeah, two babies. Yeah. 2 babies. After that it's easy, you figured yourself out. But more than that, it's that it's tough at the beginning. It's not that you have children and the rest of your life is tough. You have children, and until they're in full-time daycare, that's not even true. The first 3 months are hell. I always tell you before we want to have a child, are you ready for 3 months of major difficulty when we have a kid? Because it's hard with a newborn. Yeah. So 3 months are tough, but then the next 6 months are easier. The next year is easier, and you're already able to juggle lots of different things. Yeah. Kids, it's not like you have to put your professionalism in the bin. So no, until your kids are in school, you're going to be a mother.
3-4 years.
Yeah, I'd say it's 3-4 years. Depends on how many kids you want to have. But I'd say, even if you have more kids, I think it's still 3-4 years, because it's not hard for me to have babies. Oh, hello.
Hello.
It's embarrassing. That's going out of it.
No, that is fantastic.
Can't let him.
That is fantastic.
You're getting the public.
Okay.
You finished? Yeah, it's a few years. It's not a forever thing, it's a few years. And I mean, look at our friends who had kids before starting their professional career. They just did it a little bit later. Like obviously you need to have cheap daycares, you need to have family support.
Can I just say one other thing?
Yeah.
Slightly different.
Yeah.
But we are coming in from a place that you can choose whether to have kids or whether to advance your profession. Can I just say that having a baby, and you know this better than I do, is the greatest miracle in the entire universe. And not everyone is so blessed for it to come so easily.
It's true.
And so it's like, on the one hand, you say it's easy to plan, all right, I'm going to study for 2 years, then I'm going to work for a year, then I'm going to have a baby, then I'm going to, 2 years later, I'm going to do this and do that. Man plans, God laughs, that's like the saying. We have no idea what's going to happen. And sometimes, if you've got the ability to have a child, I don't know, and you're a stable family and you're able to get by, okay, you may not be the wealthiest family in the world, to me, have a child. There's nothing more beautiful and great in the world to do than have a baby and have a family. And you know what? Maybe you won't be the wealthiest person. Maybe you won't be the biggest CEO or the greatest company.
There are two people in a marriage.
Yeah, well,
let him keep working. He'll make a bit of money. You won't have a ton for a little while.
Yeah.
You're on your own. Let him advance professionally. Let him bring in the money. And
I just think that we shouldn't. That we can't plan all these things. I think you'd hate to be 35, have not found anyone, have not started a family, because you've really been dedicated to your work and professionalism and making an impact in the world, all which are good things. But then you get to a point you realize, like, the most important thing in life, having a child and starting a family and this greatest miracle called bearing children, I won't be able to do. And I've never met a person who at the age of 90 has regretted having their children. Never. The only people that would regret are the people that did other things that were far less important instead of having children. Mm-hmm. And I just feel that sometimes we need to put proportion, and like, who said that the greatest impact you can have in the world is by starting a not-for-profit charity, or by working and making money and giving to charity, or whatever you're going to do, or being the president of the bowls club? Who said? In my eyes, the greatest thing that a person can do in their life is to be a parent and to bring a child into the world. And you don't know what the child's going to do in their lifetime.
You see it in an old age home. What are they proud of? They won't tell you what they did for work first. They'll tell you, I have this grandchildren and this great-grandchildren.
Yeah, it's true.
That's their pride. That's what gave them meaning. That's what built their story of purpose in this world. Like, we think we're so important. We're only as important as the parents and the grandparents who thought to have us.
It's true.
And same as our children. They're going to be important just like we're important. Just like we have goals, our children will have goals, and they'll be important in the next generation. All we have to do is think about them and make sure that they come into the world.
So if it's me, and it may not be popular, but this is what I genuinely believe, is that children are number one, and we have to plan our life around our children. Right? And I don't believe that necessarily works with education. We don't have to change, we don't have to work around our children. Sometimes our children have to work around us, and we have to show them. But that's like another conversation. But I think in terms of planning our life, you need a tissue, mister.
Does he need a tissue? Oh, no.
Yeah. When you're 25, you think to yourself, if I have children now, or when I'm 30, if I have children now, we won't be able to go around and travel the world and discover the world together. Now, it's true that when you have 5 children, you can't travel the world and discover places and go gallivanting around the world like you would when you were younger and when it was just the two of you without children. I get all these emails for like cheap flights, and I imagine like the two of us going and flying to New Zealand and like spending a week there and coming back. But you say to yourself, to me, do I regret not being able to do it? Would I have liked to push off my children and gone to visit another place? Absolutely not.
No way.
We barely travelled for our
we've
honeymoon.
Done a bit of travelling.
For our honeymoon, we went to Italy, right? You were pregnant, and we were in the Cinque Terre, and I was pushing you up the hills.
Quite literally.
Yeah, very literally. So we did take a few opportunities to do it, and we've been very blessed that we've got parents that can look after our kids when we go away. But it's still not the same. And I think to myself, what's more important, going to visit, I don't know, Sweden for a holiday, or travelling the mountains of New Zealand, or him? Do you know what I mean? Like seeing the children play together and taking boys to soccer. For me, these things are worth so much more.
Yeah.
And yes, there's an opportunity cost for everything, right? You definitely, if you have kids, and I say, you're going to miss out on lots of things. You are.
And you're going to get things that every single person's going to wish that they had. You know, You're going to miss out, but you're going to gain also hugely in the most meaningful ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have to say, for me personally, when I look around and I see people that are quite a bit older than myself having their first children and going through the motions, and I'm looking at them and I'm seeing myself in them that I was 21 when I had my first baby, I am so thankful that I'm over and done with that huge change of becoming a mum. Because this is easy. Like, they have a baby, I have a baby. It's very different. They're going through huge things internally, and I've done it. I've done it, and now I love that. Like, my identity as a human being is Michal, and I'm a mum. Obviously, other things as well. But that I'm a mum. I built my identity before really focusing on trying to make something of myself. I love that I did that. I'm so thankful we had the opportunity, and the family support, obviously, as well, was huge. But like, for me personally, it's been the biggest blessing. I just want to say that society has become so focused on becoming perfect at whatever you're trying to achieve. You have to go for the best, you have to go for the best. I really believe that if you want to accomplish if you want to fulfill all of your needs as a human being, then what you need to go for is good. You need to be okay with good. I want to have a good job where I can make a bit of money, bring it into the family. I want to be a good mum. I don't want to be a perfect mum, like, who's going crazy thinking about every type of pram out there to buy, and should I be doing this? No, you need to be a good mother that loves her children and gives them their smiles and their sleep and changes a few nappies. You need to be good. You don't need to be super mum, which people think we need to be as well. And then you can have it within you to balance and have it all and have everything.
That's a nice point.
And then when your kids are a bit older, you've already slowly been working at your professional side. You've already slowly been working at your social side. Then once they're a bit older, you zoom at it. You're mature, you zoom at it. My mother had 8 children. Thank you, mummy and daddy, for that. I love my siblings. And my mum had a beautiful job before then. She stopped working, I think she says 25 years. She didn't work because she was raising the children, which is obviously, it's a huge family, so it's different. But then she went and she got her degree on the side. It wasn't a university degree, but it was enough to get her a beautiful job. And then she had phase 2 of her life where she loved it. She dresses nicely, and she's such a role model for us as well. Going out there, she loves the professional side of her life, and she loves her children. And you know what? For her to come back from work after a busy, busy week, go into the kitchen on a Thursday night and cook to belt out the most beautiful meal for Friday night for everyone is easy. She doesn't think about it because she's gained the skills in both. And as a mature person in the workforce, she's clearly a level up.
Yeah, she's thriving.
Clearly a level up than the others there, because you're doing the best learning you could possibly do
when you run a house, having 8 children come through your home,
you can do anything in the business well.
Yeah, going to an office is easy. And I think that she's thriving.
She's thriving.
You have to look at it that actually having children and running a home is the most incredible learning curve that helps you in your life. I don't know, like, it helps you become, like we spoke last time, it helps you become more patient. That's marriage. But yeah, children even more helps you become more patient, more giving, more focused. And do you know what they say? I read this recently. I believe it to be true at the very least, is that the most productive members of the workforce are mothers working part-time.
Have you really heard that?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I did, because they know that they are part-time mothers and part-time workers. So when they are working, when they don't have their children, they've got to work really hard, because in a very short time, their children are going to need them. And they know to work very...
And they just have better skills, I think, is probably a lot more to do.
You know to multitask, you know how to get things done quickly.
You can handle stress.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you learn being a parent. Yeah.
So, anyway, I think that's...
enough.
I think that's good. I think that's good.
You've had enough of me.
No, I love you.
What time is it? And the conversation is over.
No, 11:37. So
give this little munchkin a bit of love now.
yeah.
Oh,
This is Shiloh.
so cute.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
This was Shiloh was sleeping before we started, and it was completely not planned that we're going to talk about children and have a baby on our lap. So obviously that's the way that it needed to be, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please let us know. What do you think? When's the right time to have children? Should it be younger? Should it be later? Is it just totally personal?
It's clearly not clear cut, so the conversation would be interesting.
Yeah, so please let us know. Thank you to everyone who wrote to us. We had a few Facebook messages. Somebody did actually stop us in the street, which was fantastic. Thank you, and please keep the comments and the engagement coming.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Not to me.
Bye.
Not to me. Not to me.
So cute. You're so cute.